Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. This right here is a sub $300 gaming PC that I just built pretty recently. So my GPU supply basically doesn't exist anymore. I haven't been able to get any good deals on anything for about 2 months. So this is actually the first APU build I've ever done. It's running a 2200G, and I guess these APUs are pretty impressive. When these came out, I definitely didn't believe the whole APUs can play games now, but I mean, the Vega 8 graphics on here, if you throw a bit of an overclock on them, can get 60 FPS or higher in most esports games. Anyways, let's get into the video. Alright, now for the specs. For the CPU, we're running the AMD Ryzen 3 2200G overclocked to 3.7 GHz on the CPU core and 1600 MHz on the integrated Vega 8 graphics. I bought this untested off one of my friends for 60 bucks, but on eBay right now these are going for around 100. I would recommend trying to get a 3200G, but those are pretty hard to find at MSRP, as both of these are kind of discontinued and the replacement 5000 series hasn't really been launched yet. For the board, I'm running the Aorus B450M. It's just like a cheap B450 board. I wouldn't recommend buying this one. It costs way too much at MSRP. Just go on like Amazon Warehouse, look for a cheap B450 board with VRM heatsinks and 4 RAM slots, and that should be plenty to run the 2200G at the overclocks I used here. For RAM, I'm using 16 gigabytes of HyperX Fury 2666 CL16 overclock to 3200, also at CL16, so a pretty good overclock on that. And for the power supply, I'm using the EVGA 450W3, I think. I'm just going EVGA B stock. Really, the first decent looking power supply was like all black cables you see for under 25 bucks. And then lastly, for the case, I used the Roseville Cullinan MX. This case comes in at just 50 bucks and has 4 RGB fans along with tempered glass on 3 sides. I don't really like the tempered glass on the back, but I mean, for 50 bucks, that's really the only downside of this case, so I would highly recommend it. Alright, so is building a budget Ryzen 2200G based system a good idea here in 2021? Performance out of this was pretty decent, but with pricing on eBay right now being above 150 bucks for the most part, it's not really a great value, I guess. But right now, there's really no great options for building a system. I mean, I'd really just recommend, because APUs still aren't very powerful, I'd recommend just going with like a cheap, like $10 Radeon 8490 or 8570, and pairing that with a better CPU like a Ryzen 3300X, because these just straight quad-core APUs like the 2200G and the 3200G are definitely starting to show their age in gaming. And pairing it with a GPU like a GTX 1650, you'd see way better performance out of something like a 3300X versus a 2200G, that it really just makes a lot more sense to have a bit worse performance now with a cheap like GT 710 or Radeon 8490, and just live with that until graphics card prices become reasonable again. If you do need a budget rig that's capable of playing some games, this is a pretty decent option, but price on this is way too high. It'll be interesting to see when 5300G comes out. That'll probably make a lot more sense than this does, but AMD really just has no APUs that are really, I guess, in production at this point, and Intel's APUs, like graphics on those, are not great. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.